So a crazy thing happened here at the Babylon Bee. We got to go see a giant boat.
It was a boat.
In the middle.
Truly, it was a boat. It was a boat to behold.
If all things that you can say of it, it's definitely that. It is a boat.
If you say boat again, you might be shot on sight. It's not a boat, it's a ship.
And we saw this big boat in the middle of Kentucky. And Ken Ham built this giant boat.
He did. It was a whirlwind of a trip. We flew in, got like 20 minutes of sleep, and we went on this boat. And, and we toured around. He showed us. Actually,
first I gave a speech to the women's conference there.
That is true.
Right after they threw us on a VR ride, a 10-minute VR ride.
It was a 12-minute VR ride, and they put you on 15 minutes before you were supposed to be on stage. But they knew what they were doing, I guess.
And then, they pulled me off the VR ride. We jumped. I gave the speech, and then they said, "Come right out this way." Ken Ham walked us through his giant boat. So we had a great time with Ken Ham, and let's check out the Ark Encounter Babylon Bee tour.
Check it out.
So there's 3 towers here that anchor the Ark. The Ark anchors to 3 towers.
All right.
And so those towers, if you put them all together, be about the equivalent of the size of a 200-room hotel. And that's to keep the restrooms and the exit stairs and the elevators out of the Ark, so to speak. It anchors the Ark and enables us to have, most of the inside of the Ark for all the exhibits and people.
All right, so these did not actually exist back in the Bible times.
Well, we don't know because we weren't there.
All right.
And you weren't there, so you can't prove I'm wrong or right.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did they have? They didn't have restrooms though, or did they have restrooms on the Ark?
We don't know. They might have had more sophisticated ones than us.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, Noah was probably more intelligent than you.
It's probably true.
You've degenerated since then. Yeah. There's been 6,000 years of the curse, and there's been 4,300 years of that since the Ark. Yeah. So you're probably a lot more downhill from Noah.
And then just in general, I'm fairly below average in terms of intelligence.
Well, you got to be to work at Babylon Bee, right?
Yeah. And I'm telling the jokes around here.
Oh, okay, sorry. See, I'm an Australian. Australians have that sarcastic sense of humour.
Yes.
And for Australians, you realise you have to insult your friends.
All right.
Right? That's the culture. Yeah. And just remember, as an American, that only goes one way.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the ramp that leads up to the Ark. Actually, the Ark is 1.5 times the length of a football field.
Okay.
Half the width of a football field. We built it 15 feet off the ground. So it stands 7 stories high in the midsection, at the bows 10 stories high, 3.3 million board feet of timber.
That's a lot.
So it's the largest timber frame structure in the world, if you know what timber frame means.
No, yeah, I don't know what that means, no.
So timber structure is different to timber frame structure.
Okay.
Timber frame structure means it's got the post and beam construction. It's sort of built like, if you imagine a loaf of bread.
I can imagine that, yeah.
And you've heard of sliced bread?
I have heard of sliced bread.
Okay, so
this is the best thing since sliced bread.
This is the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
It's like 32 slices of bread, right? And each slice consists of 2 half bends, which is a big lodgepole. And I'll show you the size of the lodgepoles when we get inside. And then the post and beam that go with it. And then 2 of those together make a slice. So you can imagine all these slices.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what builds the basic structure of the Ark.
Right. So when you modeled the Ark, when you were first designing it, did you use a loaf of bread for scale, or?
Well, we couldn't find one big enough.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
sad.
We had to go by cubits in the Bible.
Okay. So what is a cubit? I'm sure you have an exhibit somewhere that shows us what a cubit is.
Well, a cubit would be from the tip of your fingers through to here.
Through here, all right.
Now,
but what if yours is longer than mine?
Well, so they had to have standard cubits.
Okay,
and it depended on what sort of cubit they had. There's a number of different cubits. Like if you were Ray Comfort, you know who Ray Comfort is?
I do know who Ray Comfort is.
Well, then your cubit would be very small.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right, because he's very small.
He's a small guy, yeah.
Yeah, so your cubit would be like that if you're Ray Comfort.
Right.
If you Ken Ham, your cubit's like that.
Yeah, it's bigger.
So we researched ancient cubits, and one of the most ancient cubit was a royal cubit. That's the one that we used.
Okay.
And so that's why it comes out to 512 feet long.
Okay.
85 feet wide.
Okay. 1.5 football
51
fields.
feet high.
That's 1.5 football fields?
1.5 football fields.
Is that American football or fake soccer football?
Well, American football is not real football.
Okay.
Real football is in Australia. See, in America, they all come pre-bandaged. Have you noticed that? Whereas in Australia, they just get out there and kill themselves. They're real men. We're coming into the entrance of the Ark here. And we researched ancient ships, and a lot of those ancient ships had this sort of triple layer structure, ancient wooden ships, to stop the structure from twisting so it wouldn't sink.
Right.
You wouldn't want Noah's Ark to sink.
You would not want
so
Noah's Ark to sink. That would ruin your whole weekend, really.
He would have engineered it to make sure it didn't sink.
Yeah.
At least for a year.
Yeah, I would think so.
So, well, actually, 5 months.
This is a really big boat, man.
Because if you say boat again, you might be shot on sight.
I had a lot of really angry ladies that were mad at me because I said...
You had 2,000 women correct you today.
When I was speaking at the women's conference, they were very upset that I called it a boat.
It's not a boat, it's a ship.
It's a ship. What's the difference between a ship and a boat? Is there an exhibit for that?
It's like that to that.
Oh, it's just size.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. A ship means something big, gigantic.
Okay.
We don't see a lot of people in their children's books. You probably grew up with children's books that have Noah's Ark looking like an overloaded bathtub.
Yeah.
Giraffe sticking out the chimney about to sink at any moment.
Right.
That's why you call it a boat.
Okay, because of yeah.
So you need to desecularize your thinking and call it a ship in accord with the dimensions in the Bible.
Right.
So we're on deck one. Deck one is sort of Noah's loaded the ark. And so we have these cages, and we have some teaching, as we'll show you, but it's basically he's loaded the ark. You can hear the animal sounds coming out of here. There's no live animals in there.
Oh, sad.
So don't worry about that, even though you might think there are.
Yeah.
These cages are built as real cages, by the way.
Yeah.
So we could even put you in there and feed you and have water, and you could live in there if you wanted to.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So Noah's loaded the ark. Deck 2, we have a lot of themed exhibits and teaching exhibits. And deck 3, we have a lot of teaching exhibits and themed exhibits.
Now, how long does it take generally for someone to walk through do the whole Ark experience?
It could take millions of years if you read everything, but we don't believe in millions of years. So, actually, it sort of depends. If you have family with you and little kids, they just want to walk through. But if you really want to take it all in, really it's more than a day. It would take you more than a day.
Okay.
But
40 days, 40 nights?
Gist of it, well, 40 days, 40 nights, you get most of it.
Yeah, you
That's
see it
true.
all.
Yeah. But you need at least a day here and at least a day at the Creation Museum. Actually, we have a 3-day bouncer ticket now. So you know why we have a bouncer ticket? Kangaroos bounce, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can bounce back and forth between the Ark and the Creation Museum for 3 days, because really a lot of people come here and they say we should have allowed more time because there's so much here.
Right.
So as we come around here, the first exhibit here is Noah and his family praying, and we didn't know what language to have, so we chose Hebrew. So he's praying in Hebrew.
So we don't know what language Noah actually spoke.
No, but when you think about it, whatever is handed down through Noah got handed down after Noah. Then there was the event of the Tower of Babel, and God gave different languages.
Right.
So maybe the initial language was preserved. So we decided to use Hebrew.
Okay. But it probably wasn't English or Spanish or something like that. Klingon.
No, probably wasn't English, seeing as it's a version of about, many languages.
Yeah, so that's not likely. Okay.
So we have a translation of Noah's prayer there.
Oh, great, yeah.
But it's also a reminder that Noah did all God called him to do, and Noah was faithful. And so here he is committing their voyage to the Lord. So as we come in here, now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I want to see how much you know.
You're telling all the jokes. You're asking all the questions. You can just interview me.
Okay, all right, we'll do that. So, all the animals that we have in cages were all specially sculpted. We didn't use any taxidermy.
Okay.
You know why we didn't use taxidermy?
No, Ken, why?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Finally, a good question.
Okay, so it's because taxidermy would be of animals that live today and species that have developed from the kinds that were on Noah's Ark. And so there were 2 dogs on the Ark that gave rise to all the dog species, 32 different species of dogs, right? Because they can all interbreed, they're all of one kind. But the original kind with all the genetic diversity was on the Ark. Yeah. So the species of animals we have living in our world today, the land animals, were represented by the kinds on the Ark. So we had to invent the kind, so to speak.
So you kind of took all the dogs in the world, put them in a blender, and came out with what?
That's pretty well what the artist did. And then they constructed the original dog kind. Yeah,
okay.
That's what,
so they kind of evolved into
We don't allow that word
Okay,
here, right?
sorry.
But
The
actually,
security
that's,
is
that's the correct usage of the word.
Yeah, that's a speciation.
Yeah, speciation.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Is that a word? Is that the right word?
You know what? If you say evolution, and someone will say evolution is actually speciation.
Yeah.
Yeah, speciation is not evolution.
It's not the same thing.
No.
Okay.
I want to see if you have the right cubit length.
Okay. They're going to check my cubit length. We'll see how we do here.
I want you to put your arms around that lodgepole. See if you look up here. See how high that goes.
Yeah.
Ooh, deck's up there.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And so put your arms around this tree.
So I have to hug this?
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for this? We're going to measure my cubit.
Now see, I can get around here. And there's two of us together.
Is he still over there or did he leave? So is my cubit not up to snuff?
I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Since when have you been a tree hugger?
Oh man, you got me. Well, we're from California, so we got to...
Oh yeah, everybody up there's a tree hugger. Yeah. So these Engelmann spruce, they'll have to under a forestry license because they were killed by beetles. And then we didn't have enough of those. And so then we have Douglas fir for the rest of these. These are the lodge poles. So a half bent. I mean, we talked about the bent, the slice of bread. So the slice goes from there all the way across here, right?
Yeah.
So a half slice is this lodge pole and that section, and then this lodge pole and that section, and together it's a full slice.
Okay. So are you saying that Noah would have been able to reach around this whole thing?
He might have been able to.
Yeah. Okay.
Who knows? It's possible.
Because he had a big cubit.
He might have had a bigger cubit.
Yeah.
Than you. He probably wouldn't be that much different than
Not
us.
that much. Okay.
No. Probably more like me, actually.
Yeah.
Less like you.
Right.
That's what I was. These are all set up with the animals in the cages.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's a bear, but it's not like a bear species today.
Okay.
And then be able to collect the waste under there as well. So this is all set up to show it was feasible. In other words, we just didn't do props. We wanted to show how it would work to show you it's actually feasible. It can happen. There's the pig kind. Notice how we use the word kind, which is translated from the Hebrew word need.
Okay, got it.
And so now we have lots of different big species, but you only had the pig kind on the ark.
Yeah, so this is fascinating because I think the perception of creationism is this idea that, you know, things will never change, or, you know, he would have had to have two pink pigs and two, you know,
and that's
armadillos.
And that's that's an important point. You just said something important, because secularists will say to kids, "You're taught in church God made all the animals we see today, but we've seen them change. See, evolution's true.
Right.
If we've taught them correctly, there's change within a kind, and species form from the kind. Then they won't be led astray by the atheists."
What I was taught in public school is the finches, Darwin and the finches, and the moths and the factories and the beaks change. The beaks change size.
Let's take the finches.
And why not if you just extrapolate that over millions of years?
So what did you have to start with? Finches.
Right.
What have you got now? Finches.
Sure.
What will there be in the future? Finches.
Armadillos, maybe.
You had finches with little beaks and big beaks.
Yeah.
What do you have now? Finches with little beaks and big beaks.
Right.
You know, look, people around here with little beaks and big beaks, right?
Yeah.
It's just variation.
Yeah, you have
That's all it is.
Moderate beak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And you try to cover yours up.
I cover mine, yeah. I'm very self-conscious about my beak.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, they're taught in public school about the finches. But finches from the mainland went to the Galapagos, and in Galapagos they formed in different species, but they're still finches. It's just variation of their kind. Those that have bigger beaks survive better over here. Those that have smaller beaks survive better here. Eventually, they separate from each other. That's nothing to do with evolution.
Right.
And yet it's taught in the public school textbooks as evolution. It's the same with the peppered moths. They say that was evolution, but it's just moths and variation within moths, and they're still peppered moths. That's the whole point.
And it would seem to be silly if God designed all these things to never adapt and never change.
Right.
And die as soon as something changes in your environment.
Not only is God a creative God, and he put an incredible amount of information in DNA for creativity, but he also knew it was going to be a fallen world, and so there's going to be diverse environments. Because he knew climate was going to change after the flood, particularly. Did you know I believe in climate change?
It sounded like you believe in climate change there, yeah.
There's been climate change ever since the flood. The flood generated an ice age, that's climate change.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in climate change like AOC, you know, that politician.
So do you drive a Prius, or what are you doing to be green?
What am I doing to be green?
Yeah, is the Ark a green?
We have grass around our house.
Okay.
And I mow it with a gasoline mower.
Okay, those are illegal in California now, so
Well, you are, so you need to move to Kentucky.
Yeah.
They're not illegal out here. You know what? There is a biblical view of environmentalism based on the Bible. In other words, God gave man dominion over the creation,
Right.
not creation dominion over man.
Sure.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And when you get people like AOC saying, we're going to destroy the earth in 10 years if we keep going, that's nonsense. Genesis 8:22, what did God say to Noah? While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, day and night, summer and winter will not cease. So, we're not going to destroy the earth, God is.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of climate change when Jesus comes back.
I tell you the climate change we need to be worried about right now, the spiritual climate change that's
Yeah.
occurred in this nation.
That was
That's
good.
what
You
we
see
sh-
how he flipped that around?
That's what we
Spiritual
really
climate
need to
change.
be
I like
worried
it.
about.
Yeah.
So, let's go down here. Thousands of people have supported this.
Oh, yeah. Look
You
at
know, when
this.
you see all the people that were here today, I mean, you're here on this is not a busy time in the summer, yet there are 6,000 people here today.
Yeah.
And as we come over here, this is the teaching on the kind. See, there's a cutaway model of the Ark. And what our scientists did was they looked at all the land animals, and we look at species and which ones breed with which to determine what a kind is. So all species can interbreed in one way or another. Like this dog species bred with that one, that one with that one, that one with that one, that one, that one, that one never bred directly with that one, but they're connected. They're all of one kind. And that's pretty well how we determine a kind. Except for those that are extinct in the fossil record, we couldn't do that. You know why?
Why?
Because fossils are dead.
Oh,
and
that's
they
true.
can't breed.
That's a good point.
See?
Yeah. It does, make it harder to breed.
See, your education is increasing just.
Yeah, I'm
right
getting
here.
smarter by the minute here
Yeah,
at the Ark.
fossils are dead.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
with them, we had to allow separate kinds for some of them,
Mm-hmm.
but we think are the same kind. So, we say up here, let me see, where is it? 1,398 animal kinds on the Ark. We think the true number is probably less than 1,000. So far fewer numbers of animals were needed on the Ark than people realize. So we're helping people understand this did happen, and the animals could fit.
Now, what are the challenges that an evolutionist would bring against this? Would they say that it would be possible? Is there any genetic problems with two animals resulting in everything that we see today?
Well, you know what they claim. If you listen to people like Bill Nye, for instance,
Right.
Bill Nye, the humanist guy, science guy, whatever it is, they would say, he actually said when I debated him in 2014 at the Creation Museum, Noah couldn't fit all the millions of species of animals on the Ark. Number one, it wasn't all the animals, it was only the land animal kinds. And number two, it wasn't the species, it was the kinds. And so you have to define what a kind is. They claim speciation is evolution, and it's not. And so, they didn't even read what creationists say.
Yeah.
And they just want to mock the Bible. They don't believe it anyway, so
So you're saying you disagree with science?
no.
Oh,
We love
well,
science.
he is science. Bill,
We
he's
love
got
science.
science right in his name. So
Well, you know what? That's why the first thing I did in the debate was define what science is. The word science means knowledge. If you look it up in a dictionary, that's what it means, knowledge. And there's different sorts of knowledge. You have knowledge about the past, beliefs when you weren't there, or knowledge you gain by five senses in the present that builds technology, which is why you can have a video right now of you.
yeah.
And so there's a big difference between those two things, and that's what we need to understand. So people have to distinguish between what we call historical science and observational science.
All right.
These are all the same cages that we have built here in the Ark to show how it would all fit in and how you could put all the animal kinds in and so on. In other words, what we want to do here is to show people this was feasible.
Yeah.
Not only feasible, it did happen.
So are these all the names of the people who died in the flood, or a memorial?
If we had all the people who died in the flood, we would have miles and miles and miles of names, because there are probably millions of people.
You think millions? Was it
I
millions
think
at
it
that
could have
point?
been millions.
Yeah.
Because population growth is exponential.
Yeah.
And the population of the world 1000 BC, everyone basically agrees, was about 50 million people. So 1000 BC to now, you're looking at 3,000 years, and now we got 8 billion.
Yeah.
But only 8 went on that Ark.
Yeah. Millions died.
So
And we decorate nursery walls with the flood that killed millions of people.
millions of people.
Yeah.
See, a lot of people today say, aren't we in days like it was in Noah's day? Isn't today just like Noah's day? Well, you know what? There are millions of Christians in America. Millions. Not just 8. So I would say no, it's nowhere near as bad as what it was in Noah's day.
Yeah.
Right? You may think it's bad.
I think we only have 8 Christians in California, though. So
Hey, you know what I find when you're in places like California? I just spoke there not long ago at a big church. One in San Jose and one at Chino Hills.
you were near us at Chino
And
Hills Calvary Chapel. Yeah.
You know what I find? To live in a place like California, if you're a Christian, you're going to have to shine your light very bright. And that's what I find. I find people are often more on fire as Christians, whereas in the Midwest, man, when I go to some of those big Bible Belt churches, you know, I call them the fried chicken crowd. Because as soon as I finish speaking, they want to go out and get their fried chicken.
Isn't fried chicken a Kentucky thing?
Apparently. Corbin, Kentucky.
Yeah, okay.
That's where Colonel Sanders invented Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. And do you guys have a KFC here on the Ark, or no?
No.
Sad.
No, because I don't like chicken.
No, okay.
I'm a beef man.
I'm a beef man.
So here at the Ark, for the first part of history, from the creation through to the flood, we have some exquisite artwork and so on, and some dioramas. But mostly here at the Ark, we concentrate on the flood and post-flood. So post-flood being, you know, Tower of Babel, deal with the race issue, we're all one race, different people groups. To even explain that even you might not like this, but you're actually related to me.
Oh, yeah.
And we all go back to Noah.
Right.
And back to Adam.
Yeah.
Which means we're all sinners. Because with Adam came sin. You know what that means? You're a sinner. Just thought I'd point that out.
Oh, yeah.
Again, this is sort of leading up to, then we have all the exhibits about the flood and the post-flood. So as we go through this area, again, we have exquisite artwork in this area. And then we have some dioramas. So what we want to do, and it's a family attraction, so we have to be careful, but we also want to understand the wickedness before the flood and evil before the flood. Can you imagine the size of a cubit if that guy were measuring his cubit? You know, the Bible talks about giants on the earth before the flood, and we think that was just, you know, a variation of humans that were giant.
This might be the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
See, what we're saying is just,
This is awesome.
just as in Rome, they, you know, had these times, gladiators fighting and so on. Why wouldn't they have done similar things before the flood? I mean,
Okay, so but this isn't in the Bible anywhere. This is
no, this is artistic license.
artistic license.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to use artistic license, you might as well use it to make dinosaur gladiators.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We actually have a sign that says we use artistic license.
Yeah.
So we admit it when we are, not
Sure.
like the evolutionists. They don't admit it when they do.
That gets in their
They have
textbooks.
artistic license all the time, and they don't tell
That's in
you.
there. So would Noah have maybe ridden a dinosaur around, or
We don't think so.
no? Stuff
You know
like
why
that?
Noah wouldn't have ridden a dinosaur?
Why?
Because the word dinosaur wasn't invented back then.
They weren't invented. Oh yeah, they were.
Because the word dinosaur wasn't invented until 1841.
Yeah.
So it's just a modern word.
Sure.
So
Would they have ridden big lizards with sharp teeth?
I doubt it. I think
They're probably
more
not
like
very
what
good.
we do today, camels and horses. Well, the camel kind,
Okay.
maybe. The horse kind.
Yeah.
Got to remember to say that.
The horse kind. Yeah. So they
So
would. Yeah.
even before the flood, they're saying they could have been sacrificing children, sacrificing people, because the world says it was wicked. Every thought of their heart was evil continuously. Yeah,
Child
it reminds me
sacrifice.
today of the abortion issue, which
Yeah,
is
I was
really...
going to say, I'm glad we're past sacrificing children
Yeah.
now in our modern age.
Yeah, they call it abortion.
Yeah.
And it's really child sacrifice to the God of self.
What is this? Child sacrifice for ants?
Yeah, one of the things we did here is put some animals in there. Have a look at that. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I had a dog that looked like that once.
That's not a dog.
Okay.
That's a pack-seated kind. Actually, we represented
what is
some
this?
of the...
Pack-seated?
Pack-seated.
Did you make that word up?
No, well, somebody did.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
All words are made up.
all words are made up. Yeah.
What would this have, not evolved, what would this have become today?
A pack-seated,
A pack-seated.
because kinds remain kinds.
Right. But
If they had come different species, we would have invented other
Yeah.
names. But they're extinct,
sure.
so therefore we don't have others.
Yeah.
Okay. But one of the things we want to do is for people to see some of the animals they're not familiar with, some that are in the fossil record. So there's artistic license, obviously, in making what it looks like
Yeah.
on the outside. So we have 2 movies shown here. This one here has a tabloid newspaper,
Yeah.
which is most newspapers today.
Oh, yeah.
Coming to interview Noah before the flood.
Oh, that's great. That's like what we do at the Babylon Bee. So we go back and report on Bible times and stuff. Are you any plans to do the Night at the Creation Museum movie?
Oh, we actually have overnights here, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have groups of students
Great.
that come in and stay overnight in the museum.
Oh, fantastic.
And you never know whether the dinosaurs or others will come alive. I'm not going to tell you. You'd have to experience it overnight to find out. Yeah.
Well, be
It's
careful.
one of the secrets that we have.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a kid?
I would love to be a kid.
You could even crawl in there if you want.
Oh, sure.
Ah! Ah!
Feed me! Feed me!
See things in there.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
You're supposed to get scared.
Oh, I'm supposed to get scared of that?
Put your hand in there, you might feel something.
Oh, yeah.
Feel something. You're going to get scared.
I did get scared. Oh, sorry.
That's it. You got to stop here. So you got to get scared.
You keep trying to scare me, kid.
Okay, you got to get scared. You ready? You ready?
I can't pretend to be scared. Ah! Now I'm scared.
You know what? He can't even act as a big kid or a little kid. I'm trying to get him to be scared, and he can't be scared. He's trying to be scared.
I'm trying to. I'm a bad actor. That's it.
Okay, you know what that is?
I think that's a canids.
Canid.
Yeah, canid. That's
The
what I
dog
said.
kind.
Yeah.
So we're saying the dog kind on the ark could have been
Yeah.
like that. And then that gave rise to all the different species, which
think
is not
so?
evolution because all the
Right.
genetic information God put there in the DNA. And this is a cat. You know one of the things when you look at cats, you know what they look like?
What?
Cats.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that. And the other thing is, do you know what happens when cats breed with cats?
They make more cats.
They make more cats.
See, I'm getting smarter.
See, you're learning.
Every
You
deck,
are.
I
You've
get
been getting
smarter.
smarter since the first
Yeah.
deck. I can see that. And so the original cat kind might have looked like
Right,
that,
right.
which gave rise to lions and tigers and your domestic cats.
Yeah,
But that's not evolution. That's just
Sure.
because they're always cats. And they're always going to be cats.
yeah.
They don't change into something else.
So how did Noah know that he was bringing a man and a woman, a male and a female of each species when he wasn't a biologist?
Okay, first of all, you said male and female of each species.
Yeah.
First of all,
Oh, I'm sorry. Male and
Apologize.
female of each kind.
kind. See, it's
The
almost
security guards keep reaching for their guns
it's
every time.
almost like saying boat instead of ship,
Yeah.
right? So,
So when he picked a male and female of each kind,
have you heard of a book called the Bible?
yes, I have.
Okay. Have you heard of a book in the Bible called Genesis?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
first one.
So if you read Genesis, you know what it says? God sent the animals to Noah.
Oh, okay, but so he
So
wouldn't
Noah
have
didn't
had
have to decide.
He didn't have to decide. Okay.
Yeah. So that
He
would
didn't-
make it easy for the Supreme Court Justice nominee
Right. If they just sent
because
it.
she doesn't know how to define a female.
Well, there was an old Nintendo game called Bible Adventures where you had to go pick up the animals and throw them on the ark. So you're saying that was not accurate?
That's not accurate.
Okay. So Bible Adventures, no, wrong.
So see, even this sign here, why don't changes within kind support evolution? Because they're still dogs. They're all part of the dog kind. And the ape kind. Now, you know what evolutionists tell us? We're part of the ape kind.
Right.
I mean, if people look at you, they might
might
get that
think
idea.
that.
Yeah, but we're not part of the ape kind.
Yeah.
We're separate.
Well, your cubit is a little closer to his cubit, though.
So, but the difference is, right? He has like 4 hands
Oh, yeah.
because, you know, we have 2 feet, and whereas his feet look like hands.
Yeah.
You know.
The hand feet, yeah.
Well, there's one of the sons of Noah.
That's not Japheth's wife with the beard?
No, she's up there on that one.
Okay.
She's way back there.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
We sent this up to show how they could have fed them and watered them and so on.
So is this so we've got dinosaurs here. Is this dinosaur kind?
Dinosaur kind.
Yeah.
The word dinosaur was invented in 1841 and applies to about 80 different kinds of land animals. So there are 80 different kinds, and they're divided into 2 groups. And one group, the average size about the size of a bison, the other group about the size of a sheep. There's great variation within what we call dinosaurs.
Okay.
See, people get all confused by dinosaurs. And they say, but the Bible doesn't say God made dinosaurs. But it says he made every kind of land animal. So think of all the kinds God made, take a selection of those, take them out and say, today we call them dinosaurs.
Have you ever thought of doing a movie where dinosaurs get loose on the ark and you could call it Jurassic Ark?
Well, actually, the closest to that is our VR experience.
Well,
You
that's
can
where
put
I
your
got the
virtual-
idea because we did it and we ran into the thing and there's that would have been bad.
Isn't that amazing?
Movie
That-
pitch idea.
I mean, that's as good as Disney.
Yeah, that would be great.
Sit in that, go for a ride.
Yeah.
This is to show you how the cages work, because all the cages we made are working cages, and how you could water them, how you could feed them, and so on. You know, Okay, here's a question for koalas, right? But people say, how could a koala be on the Ark? Because it needs only a specific type of gum leaf.
Yeah.
But think about it. They have become so specialized as a species
So now
as to
they
their
can-
threat to their own extinction, whereas their ancestors on the Ark wouldn't have been so specialized.
They were not so picky. They didn't have
Right.
to have organic gum leaf.
Right, exactly. You got the idea.
Yeah, I do have the idea.
I'm amazed at how you're learning so
Thank you.
quickly.
I'm a quick study.
So, you know, in ancient ships, we look at ancient wooden ships, they have what's called a moon pool, and it's like a cylinder of water, so that when the ship moves, the water goes up and down, and that circulates air. And we said, why wouldn't Noah have had something like that? Maybe that was even technology handed down from the time of Noah. So what we're showing is how you can make it all work in a wooden ship, and even some ancient wooden ships are dead. And we're saying Noah would have been just as inventive, if not more so.
Now, I've heard people say that the Ark was so big that it would have snapped. It wouldn't have floated. So is that something to do with that, or?
There were wooden ships built in the past that are bigger than the Ark.
Yeah.
And if it's built the right way, it's not going to snap. It will float.
Float like a boat.
Ship.
Ship. But that's not a good rhyme.
You keep trying to rock my boat, don't you?
Try not to rock the boat here.
So here we have an animatronic Noah, and you can ask him questions and he answers.
Oh, wow, wonderful.
And this is Noah's wife here. And you notice it has a globe of the globe there of the world, and there's only one continent. We believe there's one continent before the flood that split up at the end of the flood.
Okay.
So we believe in continental sprint, not continental drift.
So yeah, because kind of, if you look at the globe, it does look like the continents
Right.
fit together. So you believe that, but
It happened quickly.
it would have flooded, come back down, and then split up
In
quickly.
other words, fountains of the deep breaking open, force, everything starts to force apart. So we're living in a post-flood world, is what I remember. So could Noah write? Could Noah read? Could Adam write? You know, Genesis 5:1 says this is the book of the generations of Adam. We tend to think, oh, writing wasn't invented for Sumerians or something like that. But Adam was highly intelligent. He had a language to start with. Who says he couldn't write? Who says he didn't record history? And then his son Seth recorded history, and Shem recorded history, handed down on the Ark to Moses, who compiled the book of Genesis.
Yeah.
For getting people to rethink things. And then his carpentry shop, and then his blacksmith shop. People say to us, should have used iron in building the Ark because they only used wood back then, but that's not true. Within 7 generations of Adam, what's Genesis say? They were workers of bronze and iron, and they were making musical instruments. So Noah probably was a worker of iron. See, people need to read their Bible.
Yeah. No power tools, though,
As far as we know.
as far as, yeah.
See, most children's books have Noah's Ark looking like a boat, an overloaded boat with drafts
Oh, this
sticking
is
out the
great.
chimney
So this
about to
is a-
sink at any moment.
So this is a museum of bad.
This is a museum
Depictions
of
of
bad
their-
depictions of Noah's Ark, which makes out it's just a myth.
I want to hang this sign in my kids' room, and everyone died except the 8 people in the Ark.
See, Noah's Ark was a ship.
Yeah, right. Not a boat. These
Now
are
you
boats.
see why you've got to say ship?
That's why I get in trouble. What's the worst depiction of Noah's Ark that you've seen, either out of these or anywhere?
You know, they seem to get worse every day. I think the worst one is one I saw in VeggieTales, actually.
All right.
And some of them even have 2 male lions.
I was
on
going to
there.
ask about that. The two with the manes, right?
That's not right. Oh, look.
Right here.
And this one has zebras coming off. You had the horse kind coming off, not zebras. Look, see? Zebras on Noah's Ark. See?
Wow, look at that.
And they often have Holstein cows. I don't know why Holstein cows, just about every one I see has Holstein cows and Holstein cows in the Garden of Eden. I don't know why, but you know, the cattle kind was on the Ark, and they gave rise to the different species we have today.
You're blowing my mind. You're ruining my whole childhood here.
Exactly. See? You've been taught things wrong all your life?
Did you ever see the Noah with Russell Crowe?
Unfortunately.
He's a fellow Australian, right?
Unfortunately. I nearly walked out in the middle of that movie. That was probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
In fact, I was
Did you
ready
ever
to
see
get up there
the
and...
female reboot of Ghostbusters?
Of what?
Of Ghostbusters?
Actually, I did.
Did you like that one better than Noah?
Much better. It
Oh,
was
okay.
much more feasible.
Okay. Ken Ham just endorsed the female Ghostbusters reboot.
I did. Well, I watched it and enjoyed it. So,
All right.
this is where... Come
Oh,
over
here's the
here
door.
with me.
All right.
See the cross here? One door on the side of the ark. Jesus said, I am the door. This is a picture of Jesus. The ark is a picture of salvation. We like parents getting their photos here with their family to remind them you have to go through a door to be saved.
Yeah, wow.
And this is the most photographed part inside the ark.
This is great. So did we have the dimensions of the door in the Bible?
Don't have the dimensions
No, the
of the
door.
door.
That's not listed.
But we're sure it was this size. It was
You're
one
sure?
door. Had to fit everything through.
Had to fit the dinosaur.
So it was obviously a big door.
Yeah.
So we made it a big door.
Right. Had to fit all those species on the boat, so we
All
had
those
to...
kinds on the boat. Man, I have to keep correcting
On the
you.
ship. I got you.
On the ship.
On the ship.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, look, yeah. See? The bad influences are good. That's what the Bible says. It's more likely the bad will influence the
Right,
good than
right.
the other way around. Now you're starting to influence me.
So we've got restaurants, gift shop. This wasn't originally on Noah's version, though, probably.
No, this is actually a small gift store here and
Okay,
coffee shop.
small
and
gift
so on.
store, okay.
We have one of the biggest restaurants in America over here.
I'm excited. I'm hungry.
And
so-
Zara's.
And you have 2 of each kinds of meat for people to eat there, and
Of some.
7
Yeah.
of some, 7
Yeah,
of others.
Yeah, 7 of others. Yeah.
Sounds like a good diet, the Noah diet.
The Noah diet had no meat.
Noah wouldn't have eaten meat.
No, because you weren't told to eat meat until after the flood. Genesis 9:3.
Okay, that's when he. Okay, yeah.
See, in Genesis 9:3,
I read my Bible too.
God said, just as I gave you the plants, now I give you everything.
Yeah.
It's the reason you can eat a hot dog,
Yeah.
because it's everything. So you can see all the work that's gone into the mezzanine
Yeah.
up here.
Well, I thought you said no zebras, but we have zebras. But is that because that's
Because this is saying that's the,
the fairy tale
tale. You know what
version?
fairy tale
Got it,
means?
got it. So that's bad.
Like if you say boat, fairy tale.
right? Understood.
You're never going to be the same again. You realize that?
This is amazing.
You're going to go back a changed man.
I'm
You're
a
going to go back
changed
to your
man.
wife and say, I'm a changed
I'm
man.
a changed man. I've been hammed. The hamdemic is spreading across the.
Hamdemic. I like that.
Yeah.
Hamdemic. Okay, now I'm going to
can
get
use
you to
that.
come here.
All right, yeah.
Okay. Come right here. Stand right there.
Okay.
Stop. Look to the right. And look to the left. And you get a sense of being
Oh,
midship.
yeah.
You get that sense of
Well, I
being
just
in
see
the
the
middle
back
of
of
the
his
ship.
head, but that's fantastic.
See, then you sort of understand the basic structure
Yeah.
as you stand here.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, if I ever needed a job at Babylon B, what would I have to be able to do?
We could use some help in the mailroom.
Okay. I used to do that,
Yeah, so perfect.
but I'm not going to do that anymore.
We could use like an Australia consultant for
Yeah, I can do
Australian
that.
yeah, culture.
Yeah. How to talk.
Yeah.
Like in Australia, we say g'day, mate.
Yeah.
Over here, you would say g'day, y'all.
Yeah, good day, y'all.
Yeah, that's
Good day.
sort of being all things to all
Yeah.
men, you know?
Right, good day, y'all. I like
Yeah.
it. Contextualizing, maybe.
Exactly. Hey, Daniel, provided you turn off your cameras, I can show you something.
Yeah, let's do something special here.
Okay. This is some of our
He just
vision.
showed us the dinosaur cloning labs, but we couldn't show that on the camera.
This is some of the vision for the future and some of the history. See, this was me back in 1986.
Message of biblical authority and the gospel of peace.
Haven't changed much.
No, yeah.
Much the
Your
same.
cubit looks the same size too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Now we have 5 kids and 18 grandkids actually. Now we're coming up to Noah's living quarters, and so there's some artistic license here, but we look at who the descendants of Ham, Shem, and Japheth were, and so that's sort of represented in what we see in Noah's living quarters. So you see Japheth playing a flute, you know, when you think of giving rise to, you know, the Greeks and so on, the music and the arts. Shem, through him came the oracles of God. He's reading a scroll, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, is there any relation between you and Ham?
Yes. Yes, we have the same well, Noah, you know. Yeah.
You're of the Ham kind.
Yeah, we're actually descended from Noah.
Yeah.
And actually, I had a DNA test, and our expert on genetics looking at the Y chromosome says the Ham line descended from Shem.
Oh.
Because Shem had a number of sons.
Oh, that your Ham line was from the Shem.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. So see, isn't that disappointing? It's
You
not
should
from
be
Ham.
kin Shem.
Yeah, Ken Shem. By the way, that flute is real. It's a real wooden flute, and you can hear it being played.
Is he really playing it right now? How much do you pay
That's
these?
what we want you to think.
How much do you pay them to
Ah,
pose like that all day?
they're very good. You know, you ever
Yeah,
seen those people that stand for hours like that? Yeah.
That's
There
very
they are,
good.
right there.
Yeah. I guess you would have had to find something to do. Now, how long were they actually on the Ark?
Well, they were on the Ark 12 months total, but only 5 months when it was floating. And then it landed, and then they waited for the waters to go down.
Okay.
So 12 months total. Notice only vegetables, fruits,
Yeah.
because they're vegetarian until after the flood. You remember
That's a
that?
long 12 months without any meat.
Genesis 9 what? 9:3.
9:3, yeah, Genesis 9:3. Genesis 9:3. The hot dog verse is what I'm going to refer
That's
to it
it.
as Noah.
See, you are learning. It is the hot dog verse. You can eat everything. Now, Noah has a dove. Why is not the dove white? Let's see how good you are, okay?
Uh-huh.
Why is not the dove white?
Because...
White doves we have today are species that have developed from the kind that would have been on the Ark,
So the
it wouldn't look like the white
the
dove today.
white dove.
You get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, how would he have brought bees on the Ark? Because that seems like a recipe for disaster.
Well, he could have bought them one in hives. People have hives today that they can have bees.
Can I suggest another movie idea for you?
They could have also survived outside the Ark. Do you realize that? On floating log mats and things like that. So the Bible doesn't say he brought the bees on the Ark.
So he didn't bring the fish either, right? The fish were okay.
Right, the fish survived. A lot of them did not. A lot of them died.
Yeah, right.
Great Comfort appears in that movie.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Is he a banana? Does he talk about bananas?
Not in that movie.
Oh, okay.
No, every time I eat bananas and ice cream, I send him a picture. I take a photo and send it to him. So these are teaching exhibits. This has a lot of teaching about the flood. We'll sort of bypass that. But this talks about the Grand Canyon and fossils and layers and shows how they're all laid down catastrophically from the flood. They didn't form over millions of years.
Now, are there good examples of things that we know that have been formed that quickly? Maybe not on that scale.
Well, like Mount St. Helens.
Okay, yeah.
May 18th, 1980, when Mount St. Helens erupted. As a result of that, there were canyons formed quickly, there were layers formed quickly. Yeah, it was sort of like a mini, if you like, a mini laboratory for what could happen to the Grand Canyon.
But when I went to the Grand Canyon, there was a big sign that said this is formed over millions of years.
Well, here's what you ask the park rangers. Were you there? Right?
Is that what you do?
Well, yeah, because that's what God asked Job. Remember, were you there when I laid the foundations of the earth? Job chapter 38, verse 4. Were you there? So that's what you teach your kids. And anyone says millions of years in a polite way, you say, "Excuse me, were you there?" And when they say, "No, I wasn't," and you weren't either, you say, "No, I wasn't, but I know someone who was, and I have his word. Are you interested?"
I feel bad for the park ranger that gets you on his tour group.
Now come in here and I want to show you something. So this is about the Ice Age, and notice there's the word climate change.
Yeah.
Right?
All of the pilots survived and rescued.
And so we have a little bit of the debate with me and Bill Nye on this video here. And so these are planes that were landed on the ice at the end of the war, and when they went to find them, they found that it took a long time to find them. They were already buried in hundreds of feet of snow and ice, 3 miles from the original location. So it doesn't take millions of years to pile up all the ice. And see, climate change we believe in climate change. It's happened ever since the flood.
Sure.
And if you have the wrong foundation and don't have God's word, you're going to get it wrong in regard to climate change, and then you'll say all this silly stuff like AOC does.
Well, I don't know what to believe about this because I don't have a Facebook fact check on climate change popping up under this.
Well, you know, I've learned not to use the term climate change on my Facebook. Anytime I put climate change,
Right,
it gets flagged.
You get the warning.
This
Video is about to get the warning.
So now I talk about weather patterns change, and they haven't caught on yet. They're a little slow. So the Tower of Babel, God gives different languages, forming different people groups, not races. We all go back to Adam and Eve.
What is this? A Tower of Babel for ants?
Okay, now do it properly, announcing it properly. It's a Tower of Babel.
Oh, sorry.
Australian.
What is this? The Tower of Babel for ants?
Oh, that's better. It's Babel and Babel.
So are we the Babylon Bee then?
Babel on B.
Oh man, we've been calling ourselves the wrong thing this whole time.
So we show how everyone has the same skin color, just different shades. So there's no black people, no white people. One of the things I do in some of my talks, I say, people say I'm a white person, so I hold a piece of white paper up. Am I white? No, I'm not. See, that's white.
More of a sepia. So what, I mean, how does that affect our thinking about things like critical race theory and...
Well, number one, critical race theory, the foundation is man's word, not God's word, so the worldview is wrong. Critical race theory says to judge people according to their outside. A biblical worldview is people are judged according to their inside, who they are. And then critical race theory divides people into black and white, but everyone is shades of brown. And so where do you draw the line when we have from dark through to light and everywhere in between? Critical race theory, I mean, it's a secular worldview based on secular ideas.
You still have different cultures and stuff that have different defining characteristics. Like you probably don't dance very well. I'm guessing.
I hate dancing. Yeah. I've never danced.
I stereotyped you and I was right.
So, no, there's obviously cultural differences and all the rest of it. But God's word is for everyone for all time. And human beings are basically the same the world over, even though they have cultural differences. We've got to remember that. So these are flood legends. There's hundreds of flood legends around the world. And these are, we're saying that the real record's in the Bible, the others are all perversions of the real record.
How many different flood stories are there from all over?
There's hundreds. Hundreds and hundreds. In fact, we have one volume in our bookstore of a lot of flood legends, and it's going to be 3-volume work by the time it's finished. But there are literally hundreds.
Do you have any favorites?
Well, of course, I come from Australia, so the Australian Aboriginals, you know, they have flood legends about 3 sons on a boat. It landed on a mountain. The boat is a raft. God put a rainbow in the sky to say he'd never do that again. You can see the similarities, you know. This is a Museum of the Bible exhibit where it's just showing the impact of the Bible in cultures all around the world and different missionaries. It's a big exhibit. You take time to walk right through there.
It's wonderful.
This is a time chart that we actually sell, and it's the time chart of history going all the way from the beginning.
You sell this exact one at this size?
And this one, slightly smaller than that. We've enhanced it a bit for the exhibit.
And it doesn't have the cool scrolls.
It's the same as, no, but it's the same chart.
Looks like an end times chart.
So Adam, see, we all come from Adam, right? And then there's Seth, and you keep going down here.
So that's 100 million years ago, or what is that? Where does that start at?
You know, it's a long way down from the third deck down to the first deck. If you just happen to get pushed over that railing there, it's a long way down.
Fall down the
there's not a threat or anything. It's just you just need to be careful what you say.
It's not a threat. So 4004. That says 4004 BC. Is that
Okay, so
where does this come from?
What you have to understand, by the way, here's Noah here, so the flood is here.
Right.
Archbishop Usher, he's a much maligned man. He wrote the book called The Annals.
He came up with that date, right?
The Annals of World History. Well, it's not an idea. It was. There's reason as to why he came up with that date. He took those genealogies as literal genealogies, and when he added up all the dates, he came to about 4004. So we're not saying exactly 4004, but we're saying that that's sort of the order of magnitude that makes sense. So we just accept Archbishop Usher's date because he did all this work.
Yeah. So we don't know it was like Tuesday afternoon in November.
Well, no. It was a man called Lightfoot who came up with, the time and all the rest of it. Yeah, but we got to remember something. When he created the first day, was the earth covered with water, and we had light and darkness. We didn't have the sun.
Yeah, how did they measure a 24-hour day?
Well, you don't need the sun for a 24-hour day. You need light and darkness, and you need a rotating earth. You got all that on day one. Okay. We're just not told where the light came from. And if anyone says to you, why doesn't God tell us where the light came from? You say, God doesn't tell us everything, and if he did, I'd never get through all the books. So this is a contemporary exhibit in the Ark. It's called a graphic novel presentation of the gospel. It has 3 students at a university. One of them's a Christian, 2 are not. And so then they discuss all sorts of things like how can there be a loving God, look at all the death and suffering in the world, and so on. It goes through and answers all those questions and takes you through some of the stresses people have in life and some of the things they have to deal with.
This is like a walk-through gospel tract.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's called a graphic novel presentation of the gospel. So it is a walk-through gospel tract. And we got more artwork than this, and we put it in a whole book that we sell in our bookstore. And so there's more to the whole story. But this is basically...
Look at that party, man. Wow, look at that.
Yes, this is basically the summary of it. And we get up to 2 of them are in hospital after they had an accident, and the other one's witnessing to them. And then talking about, you know, the door to the ark, the door they had to put the sheep blood, the blood of the lamb on, the door to the sheepfold, the door to the tomb, and we're presenting the doors of Scripture. And we give them all a track here at the end.
Wow.
You know, I was taking a CBS reporter through the Ark. We got up between the second and third decks, and he says to me, "You said this was the quality of Hollywood." And I said, "Yeah." He said, No, this is not the quality of Hollywood. He said, "This is way above Hollywood." He said, "For a start, the wood's real." And you know what that means when you've been to Disney and you say, "Oh, that's fake wood."
Spend a lot of money making fake wood and stuff.
All the wood here is real.
You don't have Mickey Mouse, though.
No.
Mouse kind.
As we come out of here, we have a little bit of apologetics about can we trust the Bible. Now, we have a whole massive exhibit on that at the Creation Museum. So at the back of the Ark, we have a zoo. You can walk through with the kangaroos. We have all sorts of animals there teaching kinds. That's the purpose of it. And we have an animal actor stage having live animal programs. We have the VR experience. We have our conference center. We have a science lab there. We do workshops, science labs for kids. I mean, we have zip lines.
Yeah.
Some of the zip lines here go 2,000 feet across the valleys.
Yeah, and so are those the same zip lines that Noah and his family would have?
It's possible, but I don't think the valleys were as deep before the flood.
Oh, okay.
You know,
So they're more fun now.
So they're more fun now. Yeah. So that gives you a really quick look at the 3 decks of the Ark.
Yeah, awesome. And if it ever floods if it ever rains for 40 days and 40 nights, come to Kentucky.
Exactly. We have the Ark. It's right here.
You can't miss it.
See? The Ark landed in Kentucky, not the mountains of Ararat. Little wimpy, look, there it is. So it's here. Yeah. This is the cubit we use for building the Ark.
Wow, that video really blessed my heart, and I hope it did yours as well. You know, the Lord's laying it on my heart to tell you that you need to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell button so you can do life with us here at the Babylon Bee. It's God's will for your life.